Hello again, here we are at the home of Jerome Marcus, and we're very pleased to have with us Kevin Morris of Dr Feelgood. Kevin, thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
You're aware of Mad, Bad and Dangerous, the book of Drummers' Tales?
I've read the book.
You've read the book? Great. Is there anything in it that relates to your life on the road with Dr Feelgood?
I've read quite a lot of books over the years about guys in bands, and there are always things that you can relate to yourself, and certainly with drummers. Yeah. I think some of the sort of attitudes from other musicians towards drummers, as in the sort of classic drummer jokes, of which there are many.
Yes.
That kind of thing you can read that and think, oh yeah, I know. But I've been very lucky mostly with the
anything that sticks out that's been particularly outrageous on the road, or mad, or even frightening?
Yeah, well, over the years, quite a few, but it's sort of bringing them to mind. I do remember a couple of years ago, we were doing a festival in Denmark.
Yeah.
And we'd flown into Copenhagen and the weather was pretty appalling, and then we'd flown up to one of the islands in two little tiny private planes. And when we came off stage, one of the pilots in particular was at least as drunk as we were, if not more. And I sort of flew us back to Copenhagen, and he got us up, and then and it was kind of just, we were just looking for the airfield. Oh, there it is, that's an airfield there, you know.
And I mean, can you actually fly a plane?
No, not at all. No. But he had to do the important bits.
But you had to sort of point him in the right direction.
One of the planes, yeah. Gordon, our old guitarist, was sat at the very back in this tiny little cramped area, mixing gin and tonics and passing them forward. You know.
So that's fairly frightening, really.
Yeah, it was the weather. It was a thunderstorm, so that was the aspect that was a bit scary.
Put a bit of an edge on it.
Yeah. Three-dimensional driving, I called it.
Because of the nature of what we do as drummers, it's very kind of Neanderthal. It's very from the heart, from the rhythm, from the basics of where we all began. Would you say that makes us perhaps level-headed or a bit mad?
Well, I think firstly that drumming, as you say, is very primal, and certainly, I wanted to be a drummer from a very young age. Before I really knew much about drumming, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. But I know that when I've been on stage hitting the drums fairly hard for sort of 90 minutes, I am pumped up, and I can get quite aggressive, not necessarily in a sort of violently aggressive way, but I'm big and I'm loud. You have to sort of calm down a little bit.
And in a sense, it's kind of, that must be good for one, I suppose.
I think it's brilliant. I think everybody should have a drum kit in their house. I've always maintained that. It's a great release. If you are a little bit cross, you can just hit it really hard.
Have you ever smashed it up or kicked it over a bit? Or?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, yes. In fact, we were in Australia one time, and we'd done a gig, Saturday night, proper gig. And we ended up in the Mansell Rooms, which was a late night club in Sydney. And I just realised I was just too drunk to play. I thought, just Keith Moon. It's got to be, innit? So I sort of threw the whole kit over and threw myself on top of it and had to be carried away,
And so that was the gig? That was
it was the end.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the end.
Beginning, middle and end?
There was nothing. This was near the end. There was no more after that. That was it. I was carried back to the hotel,
I spent some...
proper Moon stuff.
Yeah. I heard that the reason Mooney did it was because Pete Townsend did it first.
He's a great joiner in, that's what they always say. I mean, he was my boyhood hero when I was 11. The first real gig that I went to on January the 25th, 1967 at the Kingsway Theatre in Hadley was to see The Who.
Yeah.
And there was a great support bill, a couple of local bands, She Trinity with a very young Barbara Thompson playing saxophone, and the Roulettes with my old mate Bob Henrik drumming.
Yes,
I've met Bob. Did a lovely little solo, got off and came around the kit and tapped around the floor. Brilliant. And then the Who came on, and they did about a 20-minute set.
Yeah.
And Happy Jack was introduced as their new single, and then they sort of kicked the drums over and smoke bombs went off, and I came out and just thought, I've got to do that. That's definitely it now. That's what I'm going to do. And so Keith was very much a sort of an influence. What I loved about him, it was just the way that he played. It was very organic, his drumming, and he played for the song. He really sort of puts his heart into all the Who material so well.
He's playing with the vocal, complementing the actual diction of the vocal.
Absolutely.
And when there's no singing, he tends to just ride it through.
No, I always say it's very orchestral, his drumming.
Yeah.
I went along they were doing two houses, and I went to the early show, of course, being when would I have been? 12, I think. I wanted to sit in the front row, but of course the ticket had gone, so I sat in the middle of the second row with this girl that was a bit older than me, jumping up and down, getting in the way, calling out for Roger, you know. And years later, I found out who that girl was, and I've been married to her ever since.
Really?
And her version of that story is, I wonder who that little kid was. Who let these kids in, you know?
So you met her again years later?
Yeah, 12 years later.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
funny,
bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, always when we swap notes, you know. But I was in this soul band. In between tours, we had a couple of little residencies that we would go and do a week. One of them was a club called Gulliver's in Mayfair.
Oh,
and it was a mezzanine floor, and then there was a jazz club downstairs. You'd get Eddie Thompson down there with his guide dog, and there'd be jams with him, Dudley Moore, Keith Emerson. It was amazing. Yeah. And the original percussionist from Tyrannosaurus Rex, Mickey Finn, was up playing the congas very lightly and not very well, to be honest. And I looked across and I could see Keith Moon walking towards the stage. I was 17, this is one of my heroes. Yeah. And he leant over and I had a spare pair of sticks on the bass drum. He said, "Dear boy, can I take these?" And he picked the sticks up and he went, "Rap, rap," on Mickey Finn's knuckles. And he went away and he played congas with sticks, you know, and finished the set with us, you know.
Bizarre things do happen to drummers, don't they? I mean, funnily enough, I got the book had a review, but this one was quite complimentary, but it did say that the author seems to try too hard to persuade us that madder things will happen to drummers than necessarily will happen to bass players, or that drummers might be madder than other musicians.
I think I think the fact that we hit things for a living means that some drummers are a little bit, you know, more. But I mean, not all bass players are lousy dry lunches, but a lot of them are, you know.
So, I mean, I used to hate rehearsing, probably because I had in days when I used to rehearse, I had a day job. I didn't like coming home from the day job and then having to get up and go and rehearse in the evening, because there's not much gratification from sitting in a room going over the same things over and over again.
What we tend to do is we've got a very good, strong songbook, and we have a skeleton set, which you have to play certain songs, otherwise people will be disappointed. You know, if I go to see The Who, they've got to do substitute, otherwise I'm going to be upset, you know. And we tend to, we'll suggest, if I say we haven't done Take a Tip for a long time, then Robert will go and check the words, you know, and then, okay, and then we'll run it through at a sound check just to remind ourselves how it went, and then it's back in the set, you know.
What are Dr Feelgood up to at the moment?
Well, we are on tour, as we always are.
Are you doing any recording at the moment?
At the moment we're not. We've got a sort of half unfinished project, and I always say we're waiting to find our mojo. We've got to find the right time for things. Last year EMI put out a box set, the Wilco years, which sold quite well, and they've just put together one of the Gyppie Mayo stuff called Take No Prisoners. But we do need to do something with the current band. We haven't done anything for a while, and we're kind of on the verge of doing something. But we're very busy at the moment with the live work. Yeah. You know, right up till Christmas now. It's very, very, very busy.
What's your favourite track, if you've got one, to play, I mean?
I'm lucky because I really do like the stuff that we play. It would be awful to have to play stuff you didn't like. But there are certain songs that I like the songs that Wilco Johnson wrote for the group. Yeah. You know, She Does It Right, Rock Set, All Through the City. I think that stuff's really powerful. Down at the Doctor's, which is a Mickey Jupp song. He's a local guy. Milk and Alcohol, which Gyppie wrote. So we've got some great songs, and they're great to play. I mean, they're real good fun, you know.
Topper says you've got to be mad to do it in the first place because it takes so long to get to any standard where you can play with anybody else. So.
Yeah, I know what he means.
And Steve White says you've got to be it's the sanest thing you can do. And the other thing is, of course, the responsibility that you take on is possibly bigger than another instrument, except maybe vocals, because you can't stop playing the drums all of a sudden.
No, you can't turn the amp down and mime if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and you can't take your hands off the keyboard occasionally if you get a bit... Do you ever get the panics when you play?
Yeah, well, the secret is to don't think about things too hard.
Do you get any bits of the set which are sort of stumbling blocks?
There's a song sometimes we do an arrangement of You Don't Love Me. Yeah. And there's a drum fill on, we've recorded it, and the drum fill at the end is very, very quick, you know. And so if we're playing the song a bit quicker than normal, that feel's going to be very difficult, you know.
So you do you go for it, or do you work out another way of doing it?
No, I always do it. I'll always do it.
You don't sort of texture it differently to get through it.
No. I just know it's going to be difficult.
Have you ever played when you've been really ill?
Yes, I have. I do remember quite clearly this. I had sort of flu-type symptoms, not just a cold. I really did feel ill. Dr Feelgood have always maintained a very tight ship. You know, we only have 1 or 2 people with us on the road, and I most of the time prefer to set my drums up and pack them up myself. Even if there's somebody there, I prefer to do it. But we did have a guy at that time, Rod, who really did a good job, and so he'd set the kit up. We'd done a sound check, stumbled through half a song, lying on the floor, and we're on stage now. I got off the floor, I got up, and just for that 90 minutes, you know, I felt okay. You know, you just find something, and I played the set, came off stage, wrapped up in the blankets, lying on the floor again, and Lee, the singer, was sort of stood over me and he said, Kev, there's some blokes here want to talk to you about drums. So I said, yeah, tell them to come in. So I'm lying there looking up at these guys who were one of the first sort of small independent drum builders, and they wanted to talk about possibly me using their drums or something.
There is something about the actual act of playing the drums that you always seem to be able to do it, even if you're ill or injured or whatever, which is why people sort of assume that we're never really that ill, or that those guys were prepared to come in and talk to you, even though you were sort of like lying on the floor, really ill. But they probably thought, well, because he's just done a 90-minute set, he can't be that bad.
Yeah, and also I think that all players, I mean, regardless of their instrument, you know, it's show business, isn't it? The show must go on.
It's a feeling of responsibility,
you've got to get up there and do it,
Hi folks, hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with Kevin Morris from Dr Feelgood. Second part coming soon. If you haven't seen our other videos, please click the more videos button, and in the meantime, please always...
What blazes is going on here? I don't remember being consulted about this. This is a 17th century coaching inn. I'll have you know, King Charles II frequently stayed here.
Well, we were just hoping to promote this book.
Mad, bad and dangerous? What utter nonsense! Go on, get out, get out.
Probably the wrong place. Possibly we should get out of the pub.
You two, get out of here! I want you to get out too. Go on. Good riddance to you. And don't open this door again. And get your hair cut.
Oh. Didn't expect that. What a piece of shit. Right.
Chuck these on and we are good to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jolly good.
Are we using real names when we're doing drug stories?
No, just your porn name.
Pseudonyms. Yeah. The name of your road and
In the edit, we'll cut a little black mask to you.
Hi folks, hope you enjoyed that first part. Hi folks, hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with. Go again.
Okay, cut.
Hi folks, hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with Kevin Morris for Dr Feelgood. Second part up soon.
From, not for. From.
On behalf of it. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Kevin Morris of Dr Feelgood, first part, and second part coming soon and that. Hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with Kevin Morris from Dr Feelgood, second part up soon. Please always collect the.
He's lost it.
What's all this rubbish?